Hi, I'm here today to show you a little bit of my process of how I create artwork, which is very simple, very easy to do. So we don't need too much equipment or peripheral stuff that we need to create this sort of artwork. It is very simple, very easy, and when we're creating art, that we don't overcomplicate things. We make it as simple as possible, and anybody can do this from home. So what I've brought in is a few of my action figures and toys. Now I know a lot of people have toys, action figures, and this is how I started off about 10 years ago, by just playing around and looking at little figures. I used to walk into Woolworths and Coles and see these figures sitting on the shelves, and looking at their expressions and their faces, I thought, they're quite interesting. So I purchased a few of them and started playing around. No more complicated than what I'm going to show you now. We're going to use a masonite surface for our figures to stand on, nice and flat. It's nice and brown too, so it's not going to reflect much light. So we want something nice and dark. And we're going to get a few of our figures. And you better stand there. And we're going to group them together. What I'm really interested in is relationships between the figures. So, you know, one could be talking to the other, having a conversation. This guy here could be yelling, something's gone wrong. Somebody's pointing up into the sky. Oh, he doesn't want to stand. Yes, he will stand. And this guy's carrying a rhinoceros. I set this, the rhinoceros must have been sitting on this guy for the last 10 years, because I remember shooting something 10 years ago with him, and I've just put him in a drawer and forgotten about him. So I saw him today and I thought, oh, I remember that, so I bring him in as well. So here we've got a little grouping of 5 figures. We can move them around to get them in a little bit tighter, because I'm thinking about the composition as well. It needs to sit tight in the background. We've got the figures set down on the surface. They're having a nice bit of a relationship. They're talking. Interesting composition. Normally I have a background or a cyc or a bit of paper that goes from the flat surface to vertical, and that'll give you a horizonless background. So, but what we're going to use here for the sake of ease is a couple of cushions. This will be just as nice for this. So we've got our group and we have our background. What we need now is our lighting, and what I use for my lighting, for no matter what setups, is a lamp I bought from Big W. It's a LED lamp, and I've placed a little piece of cardboard around the edge of it, so I can get a little bit of toilet roll or something like that and put in there to direct the light. I mean, it's very important to, within my compositions, shadows are very important, so I need something to direct the light onto the figures. And clamp, very important. If you're going to buy a light, grab one with a clamp on it. You can get them with all sorts of attachments for your bed head and things like that, but ones with the clamps are brilliant because you can put them onto any surface. What we have here now is a very basic setup of the works, of this composition, I should say. And it's about as simple as that. It is a very basic composition of the setup, and we don't have to do much more than that. All we need to do is lower the lights now inside here. So what we have here now, with all the lights off, once we turn our very cheap and nasty desk lamp on, we do have a composition here. We can adjust a little bit by bringing the light down and making the shadows a little bit more intense. What you're seeing here is very simple, very easy to set up. A few toys. I mean, there's about $50 worth of toys in there, just bought from, you can buy them, you could probably buy them all for $5 down from any Trash and Treasure store. You don't need too many artist materials for this sort of setup. Now, what we're going to do now is actually take the photo. So we can use this as a piece of artwork, a digital artwork. I use a SLR camera at the moment. When I first started doing this sort of artwork, I was using a very cheap little, not more than a sort of a pocket-sized camera. So we've got to use our iPhones for this little experiment. I know everyone's got an iPhone or a Samsung or some equivalent with a really good camera. Modern phone cameras are brilliant at the moment, so there's no reasons why we can't use them. And all I'm going to do is use my iPhone for this. You might be able to see the composition within here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm just getting the background, stepping back a little bit, zooming in, and taking the photo. I'll move around a little bit. Take the photo. So it looks like there's conversations being had. There's interaction between the figures. And of course, you know, nothing has to be set. You can lower arms. Now, if we just look at that, that is one of the basis of my photographs. So from there, you can import that into, say, Photoshop. You can tweak it a little bit. What I would do if I was in Photoshop myself is maybe, remove some of the articulation, the joints of the figures, just to make them look a little bit more human.